this is the biggest problem with a small majority of both the House and Senate. And I hope people will make it easier when the midterms come. We have about 20 seconds.
Yeah, but in the end, this is the largest tax cut in American history. It's the largest investment in border security in American history. And it says to moms and dads out there, we're going to give you school choice so you can pick the school that best helps your son or daughter. That's why in the end, this thing will pass.
All right, guys, well, big breaking news overnight, because Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill has officially cleared its parliamentary phase in the House and is now on track to pass. As a matter of fact, by the time you're watching this video, it may very well have already been signed into law. And so I'm going to kind of leave that aspect of the video open-ended. The big story we got to discuss here today and kind of go over review, tell you what happened, is the utter and absolute ridiculous grandstanding you saw, both by the Republicans, but now also by the Democrats. Hopefully you're starting to notice a pattern here in how Congress actually works, but nonetheless, we will get into it. And again, the major headline here, despite all of the drama, is that overnight at about like 4 a.m., I believe, Eastern time, the big, beautiful bill advanced with a 219 to 213 final vote. And interestingly here, right, there's a lot of panic overnight. People saying, this is it, Donald Trump's political legacy is doomed, the bill's not going to pass, right? What did I even say yesterday? I said, I'd be surprised if this does not pass in the end, right? All these Republicans, much like the Democrats they criticize, by the way, it's all the same, right? They just like to grandstand and make a show. It's basically all kayfabe. Oh, I'm gonna hold out to pretend to be principled, and then Donald Trump has to call me and say, hey, buddy, if you don't stop acting like a child, I'm gonna primary you. Okay, yes, sir, Mr. President. It is so freaking pathetic to watch, frankly, this pathetic Republican Party somehow believe that, like, they're the ones with the mandate, not President Trump, when you saw, by the way, in November, it is not them who won themselves the election. It is Trump's overwhelming victory that had to carry these people across the freaking finish line, okay? Whether that was many of the U.S. senators we're talking about, but especially the very narrow, slim House majority that way underperformed what you saw. These people, these utter and absolute rhinos, grandstanders, and frankly, just self-aggrandizing, attention seekers, they think, okay, they really are going to go out and make this show. It is ridiculous. So we got to talk about that, as well as, of course, the Democrats utterly in the same exact way, making a complete fool out of themselves at the current moment, because now that the bill has advanced to its final vote, you have Hakeem Jeffries trying to somehow prove a point by talking for 3 to 4 hours now on end, basically just filibustering in his own way, despite the fact that he's not even a senator, he's in the House. But anyways, we'll get into the full story on the big, beautiful bill, how it basically got on track to passing, and what the Democrats and Republicans are currently doing the grandstand about it in today's video. First though, folks, do us a big favor here as usual. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Subscribing here, guys, is not only the best way to support our videos, but it also ensures that you stay up to date with all of the latest news and coverage. And with that said, let us show you where we currently are, because apparently, right, Speaker Mike Johnson is talking to President Trump today and saying that despite all of the drama you saw overnight, when asked if Donald Trump will have the big, beautiful bill on his desk by the target timeline there of July 4th, 2025, Johnson is saying he's going to have it a day early, very clearly here again indicating that at some point today, the big, beautiful bill is on track to pass. And again, by the time you're seeing this video, that may already be the case. And so despite all the drama, right, this did kind of get done on Trump's timeline. And so I guess in that sense, it is a victory for him.
We have an hour scheduled for debate, and depends on how long the Democrat leader's magic minute goes, but I suspect it won't drag on long. We'll be voting, I think, by early morning, and right when everybody's waking up to have their coffee, they'll have watch your step. They'll have a big happy surprise.
So there you have it. This thing is again on track to pass. It's looking like it's going to happen, barring some type of dramatic last-minute John McCain moment. The big, beautiful bill here will, of course, become law. But that is not stopping, as you could imagine, Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries from trying to make some type of grandstanding statement, right? He's under all this pressure from his voter base to show that you're fighting back. And I don't know what it is with these geriatric Democrats and MSNBC and all this stuff somehow hyping up that, oh, Cory Booker gave a 24-hour speech. He's so cool for that. It's like nobody cares. Nobody's even watching here, by the way, okay? It is what time right now? 6, 7, 8 in the morning in the U.S. Eastern Standard Time Zone. In other parts of the country, it's or even earlier than that. Nobody's sitting up in the morning, and those are the people who are going to work. Nobody's going to go prepare to, I want to listen to Hakeem Jeffries. Go on, and people in the background, as you can see here, Democrat representatives are literally falling asleep. I mean, this is the utter joke he has made of himself, but he currently, as we speak, guys, is apparently in hour 3 to 4 of just rambling in the debate period, and so this is what he's been doing all night, is basically just filibustering and trying to, I'm going to speak badly about Trump's big, beautiful bill, because somehow a performative show is going to save the fact that his party is widely unpopular, even with his own voters. But nonetheless, apparently this is what Hakeem Jeffries has been getting up to.
Does it make life more affordable, Mr. Speaker? It makes life more expensive.
The gentleman suspend. House will be in order. As the caffeine kicks in, please take your conversations outside the chamber or in the cloakroom.
So they have to call order over people having their coffee because basically nobody cares. Okay, no one's listening to this guy. By the way, even Hakeem Jeffries himself, I mean, what's with his eyes? Is he on something? I mean, did he have to take some Adderall in the morning to make sure he's alive? Look, he looks like a zombie. What is going on here? I'm not exactly sure, okay? It's just very low energy speech. Like this woman in the back, pretty sure she's a Democrat, but she's just utterly falling asleep. Again, nobody freaking cares. What even is the point of this? Now, that said, I'm not going to exonerate the Republicans because I have the equally amounts to say to them, but this is precisely why a lot of the so-called work, the fighting we're doing for our constituents in Congress, as they try to tell us, is just utter BS. You guys are doing nothing, okay? And that is, of course, the case here with Hakeem Jeffries. But the delusion here, this is much like the Cory Booker speech, where the longer it goes, the more he descends into inarticulate rambling and nonsense and delusional behavior at that, because now Hakeem Jeffries on the House floor is stating that people will die, tens of thousands of people, apparently, year after year, are going to be killed by Trump's big, beautiful bill. I guess we're just saying anything at this point, going on further to say that it is a crime scene. Same way that, what are they saying now? 20 trillion people are going to lose their health care. 14 million people are going to die because of USAID, all this stuff. Whatever. But, okay, again, this is basically what you're seeing, the current scene on the House floor, as this guy just loves to grandstand.
Assault on health care in the United States of America, people will die. Tens of thousands, perhaps year after year after year, as a result of the Republican assault on the health care of the American people. I'm sad. I never thought that I'd be on the House floor saying that this is a crime scene. And House Democrats want no part of it.
Yeah, don't worry, Hakeem. I don't think you'll have to have any part of it. I don't think any American out there will be thanking you when their 2017 Trump tax cuts get renewed. I don't think they'll exactly be thanking you for no tax on tips, overtime, etc., etc. Yeah, don't worry, Hakeem. I don't think you really have to be all that worried about that. Now, nonetheless, okay, the scene here with Mr. Jeffries gets utterly ridiculous, as you could expect, by the way, where he has his own party. Great look, by the way. Amazing optics when he's clearly like half asleep. Everyone else is behind him. Because even in the background, you have Democrat leaders, politicians in this video getting tired and literally falling asleep behind him as he gives probably one of the worst speeches ever to go down in U.S. history. Truly a great party these people have. But check it out.
Members of House Democratic leadership, thankful for the leaders of every single committee who's been battling hard to push back against the cruelty that is in this one big, ugly bill. Thankful for the leadership of Richie Neal. Thankful for the leadership of Frank Pallone. Thankful for the leadership of Brendan Boyle. Thankful for the leadership of Angie Craig. I'm thankful for the leadership, the principal leadership of every single member of the House Democratic Caucus. But above all else,
Now, that said, I'm trying to currently look to see if he has wrapped up, but by all accounts, it looks like he's still going, okay, at the time of recording this. So, Hakeem Jeffries, definitely just such an inspiring leader. Isn't everyone just clamoring to hear what he has to say? Even his own caucus. I mean, look how motivated they are by his wise and strong words here. just wasting everyone's time. But okay, whatever. I mean, Congress wastes time in general. Of course, it's worth noting here that all of this started even before the big, beautiful bill advanced out of committee, because even just yesterday, apparently, whatever this is, right, the Democratic Doctors Caucus, an organization nobody has ever heard of, but nonetheless, okay, there's a bunch of Democrats claiming to be doctors, I guess, tried to stage a protest and a little press conference here in the middle of the U.S. Capitol to, of course, rail against the big, beautiful bill and the Medicaid cuts allegedly and all this stuff. But a pretty hilarious scene comes in. This was almost the foreshadowing to Hakeem Jeffries' current situation, because as you'll see in this video, nobody's freaking listening. Nobody cares, okay? You have people walking by, Capitol tours are going on currently at the moment, right? And the people on vacation, they want to see the Capitol. Everyone's just walking by. Nobody cares. Nobody's paying any attention, okay? But check it out for yourself. This right here, this video truly is the Democrat Party in a nutshell.
Are the Doctors Caucus, Democratic Doctors Caucus. We have cared for the sickest patients in our communities. As physicians, we didn't care if someone was a Democrat or a Republican. In fact, that is never an issue that you address. We just care for people.
So as you can clearly see here, right, literally nobody cares. But that said, I'm going to play the video in 2 times speed so that way you can just basically see the way this goes, because they're going on here for several minutes. Let's see, does one person care? Nope, you got the Capitol tours there going, by the way. You can see like the headphones they're wearing, they're listening to the guide. Nobody is paying any freaking attention. That guy thought he was going to take a paper. In the end, he just didn't. What a show. They're really doing something here. Okay, let's see. Let's skip ahead. Does anyone care? Yeah, newsflash, guys. We went to the very end of the video, and absolutely nobody cares. Okay, well, what was the point of any of that? Well, again, there you go. That's like the Democrat Party in a nutshell, truly. I mean, probably one of my favorite videos of 2025 of all these protests you've seen is the one where everyone's walking by. Not a single soul is listening or paying attention. Now, with that said, okay, so there's the Democrat story of the grandstanding. That's what they're currently doing. And again, however long this takes, it could take a couple more hours from here, but the big, beautiful bill is on track to pass, barring some type of insane statement. But with that said, it is worth noting why it still has not passed yet. It's not the blame entirely here on the Democrats, because you also see a lot of the same behavior, frankly, from the Republican Party. They're far from off the hook, just because I spent a lot of time making fun of Hakeem Jeffries here, because, just to give you one prime example of how they engage in kind of the same type of behavior as the Democrat Party. You had, for instance, here as one example, before we get into what actually happened, but Congresswoman Nancy Mace, to make some type of fashion statement here, because, we're going to be there all night, literally, as you'll see here, right, shows up to vote for the big, beautiful bill in her pajamas and make some type of publicity statement about it, right? Oh, look, it's so quirky. I'm showing up to work in my pajamas because it's late night. It's like, are you Zelensky or something? Like who out? And I'm not opposed to Nancy Mace. Okay, I mean, she has some good stuff. Fine, whatever. But what is this type of behavior, right? This is the same attention-seeking, self-aggrandizing nonsense that you see out of the Democrat Party, and she was widely criticized for doing so. But in her total defense, she did vote yes. She was not trying to grandstand. But I'm just giving you an example again of how the performative garbage we call it from the Democrat Party, you see a lot of similar trends in the Republican side, and this is it right here, right? Literally like the Zelensky thing. Oh, let me put on a fake costume to like make a point in terms of what we're doing. Nobody cares. Just pass the bill. Nobody wants to see you self-aggrandize, Nancy Mace. But, anyways, a trend you often see. But with that said, okay, just to give you an idea of what was happening last night out of the Republican Congress, where they're grandstanding for their own reasons. Some people are saying, it makes too many cuts to Medicaid. You had the one guy over Ukraine. You had the House Freedom Caucus basically saying they want the bill to be more conservative. But it's like, okay, this is, by the way, the longest single debate period of any bill in U.S. history, by my understanding. Just pass the freaking thing. Okay, I get it. At this point, we've heard you. Just get the freaking thing done. And by the way, as I said, I don't really mind the idea of making it go even longer if you want to make it better. But it's not going to get better. That's the thing. It's not going to get freaking better, okay? It's like everyone is exhausted of watching the Republican Party just be incapable of basically doing anything here. And if you're going to, it's one thing if you're going to keep it in committee and keep debating. But if you're going to have this grandstanding show where it's like, the Republicans aren't able to pass this. Oh, my God. Okay, at that point, just pass the bill, right? But anyways, just to give you an example. what you saw last night. Representative Keith Self, for one example, a Republican here, all of a sudden decides he was going to attempt to block the big, beautiful bill from advancing to its final vote. He was a yes vote all along, but at the last moment, all of a sudden decides he wants to be a no, right? Yes, indeed, this is what grandstanding looks like from Representative Keith Self. But of course, I think the greatest example of the grandstanding here was from Representative Victoria Spartz, another Republican here, who literally says, okay, check this out. She was a no on advancing the big, beautiful bill out to its final vote, but said she would be a yes vote on the final passage of the bill. In other words, she's going to vote yes on the bill, but she doesn't want the bill to advance to the yes vote. What kind of pathetic grandstanding is that? That doesn't even make any logical sense, okay? Like, you would think, right, if you want a bill to pass, if you're going to vote yes on it, you would also vote yes to get it out of committee and get it to, so that way you can vote yes on it. Again, what do you, these people, all these people like to do is self-aggrandize, okay? Hakeem Jeffries, that's absolutely what he's doing right now, to be clear. With the Republican Party, the holdouts here were engaged in the same exact ridiculous behavior here. President Trump, of course, this is where it all really happened, right? Sent a stern warning amidst all of this, amidst to the grandstanders, basically saying, stop it, right? He, quote, here said that largest tax cuts in history and a booming economy versus the biggest tax increase in history in a failed economy. True, by the way, true. What are Republicans waiting for? What are you trying to prove? MAGA is not happy and it's costing you votes. And by the way, the reports widely said that Trump was up late last night, working the phones, making sure that all of his ridiculous grandstanders and actors, and really that's what they are, right? Actors in his own party ultimately came home. And as I predicted, that is essentially indeed what happened. And it is worth noting here, to his credit, that Speaker Mike Johnson basically made sure the thing was going to pass, right? He held the debate open for as long as possible so that way everyone could go change their votes and all the negotiations could be made. And in the end, that is indeed what happened.
Representatives, and that is Mike Johnson is with us. The magic number 217, Mr. Speaker. This is the test vote. You have 9 members that have not voted at this point. You have 4 nays. You can only afford 3. Bring us behind the scenes. I'm sure a lot of discussions are going on. What's happening?
Yeah, Chad Pergram's got it right as usual, except there's no cracking of skulls, Sean. This is part of the process. We are tying up some loose ends. We had a Senate bill that was sent over that was modified from the House version. We liked the House version better. There's no surprise about that. And we had reached a very delicate balance on it. So it's taken a little while to go through the changes, to have everybody fully process that and figure out what that means for them in their districts. And that's part of the process. So no huge pressure here. We're allowing these conversations to continue. Chad was right. I might keep it open a little while because I have, among those no votes, I've got a couple of folks that are actually off-site right now, had to attend to family affairs or events this evening, and so some of them are on the way back. And then a couple of others we're having still some conversations. So I want to say this. President Trump is the consummate deal maker. He's the greatest one of all time. He brought in different groups of members to the White House today. He was fully engaged in the process. Vice President J.D. Vance as well. I mean, they have been the partners in this. We're all in it together, and it is a one-team approach, and I'm absolutely confident we are going to land this plane and deliver for the American people.
You know, Mr. Speaker, I've talked to the White House numerous times.
It's just crazy when you hear some of the details of how this went down. So apparently you had Republican House members who were no votes, by the way, holding out, basically saying, we need to talk about this, iron this out. Not even on site, not even at the Capitol to vote. Who knows what they're doing? They're saying, family affair or something. I mean, I'm not sure that unless there was some type of severe emergency. No, what are you doing? Get to work, right? But again, that's your Republican Party. Republican Party for you, right? Nothing else is surprising there. But again, here, in the end, the vote ultimately was that every Republican, except for one, this guy Fitzpatrick, voted to advance the bill. That includes Massie, even, who was a yes vote. Then he went to the no vote for some reason. And then he flipped back to yes. I'm not even really sure what happened there. But, like I said, all these people do is seek attention, including Massie, by the way. Because what is the point of that? Oh, I'm yes, then I'm no, then I'm yes. Ha-ha! Really proved the point. So in the end, you still voted yes anyway. I really took a stand for my principles. No, he's just a self-aggrandizer like the rest of these people. That's just the honest truth here, oh, I'm a real principled conservative libertarian, which is why I consistently vote against border security and voted in favor of Joe Biden raising the debt ceiling. But when Donald Trump does it, that's when I'm going to be principled. It's like, okay, whatever, man. We'll see you in 2026, truly. But anyways, okay. Not here to talk about Thomas Massie in this. All these people frustrate me, just to be clear. But it's worth noting here the actual no vote, because it came from this guy, Brian Fitzpatrick. And you may be wondering, what was his issue? Why exactly did he not vote to advance the bill out of committee? Apparently, he was holding up the One Big Beautiful Bill over, think about it, by the way, this is a representative out of Bucks County, Pennsylvania. This is a county that has narrowly flipped red as of late. Swing district, but in the state of Pennsylvania. So you would think here, right? Might it be related to an issue pertaining to Pennsylvania? Might it be something over, I don't know, energy, manufacturing, taxes, Medicaid even, right? Anything that actually affects Americans. Now, the very reason why he was against the Big Beautiful Bill, I kid you not, you cannot make this up, was because it did not fund Ukraine, okay? Bucks County, yes, last I checked, is not in the nation of Ukraine. But here's what he had to say, right? Today, I called on the president to address my serious concern regarding reports that the U.S. is withholding critical defense material pledged to Ukraine. This comes as Russia launches the largest aerial assault since the war began, firing over 500 weapons at civilian targets in a single week. Ukrainian forces are not only safeguarding their homeland, they're holding the front line of freedom, blah, 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 blah. There can be no half measures in defense of liberty. We must, as we always have, stand for peace, for strength, all that stuff. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Yap, 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 yap. So to make it very clear here, guys, what Mr. Brian Fitzpatrick did, which, by the way, the reports are that apparently he did not even show up to change the vote in the end. He literally just stormed off the Capitol. He walked out in anger, did not come back. That is the widespread news we're hearing at the current moment. He voted against, as a Republican, the renewal of the 2017 Trump tax cuts, the funding for border security, tax on tips, etc. You know, we know what the bill's all about, right? Not because of any domestic issue affecting Americans, but because of freaking Ukraine. That's your Republican Party for you guys. Amazing, right? Aren't we just so impressed by this? And by the way, you're talking about a guy in 2026 who's in a swing district in a swing county. He thinks somehow this is going to help him, you know? Oh, I really fought for my constituents by voting to raise their taxes because I was not adequately pleased with the funding for a foreign nation. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. But anyways, with that said, guys, Brian Fitzpatrick, we will be seeing you in 2026 as many other people. You know, it's hilarious, right? Check this out. Check out his actual bio here, right? He describes himself as a fiercely independent voice for my hometown of PA's 1st District. A fiercely independent voice for your hometown. Was your hometown Kiev, Ukraine, or is it is it Bucks County, dude? Anyways, that said, guys, the long story short is, despite the grandstanding, despite all of the self-aggrandizing, the Big Beautiful Bill, I'm going to refresh actually one more time just to check, is on track to pass. Has it passed yet? Nope. I guess he's still grandstanding. Okay. We'll let you know when it does, but big news there. All right. With that said, though, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. What do you think of the grandstanders? What do you think of the bill itself? Let me know. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.